We'll continue with the next panel, the renewable energy infrastructure and market development. The keynote speaker, Mr. Dimitris Foularis, will not be able to join us due to some personal reasons, so I ask Mr. Georgiou Ioannou, Professor of Athens University of Economic and Business, to start the panel discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Papaefthimiou. I want to invite the other two speakers that are here, the other two panelists, Mr. Yiannis Yiarentis, who is the President and CEO of the RES and Guarantees of Origins Operator of Greece, DAPEEP. Sorry, three ones. Okay, Mr. Sotiris Kapellos, who is the Chief Operating Officer of HELLENiQ Renewables and member of the BOD of HELLENiQ Energy, and Mr. Vassilis Georgiou, who is the Managing Director of Protasis. And we have a very interesting topic to cover, the infrastructure and market development in renewable energy, with several subtopics. But I think it's better that I sit down and I start the first introduction of the panelists, and I hope we'll have a very active and constructive discussions, I'm sure, because the panel has excellent participants. So, well, during the last years, we're living the revolution of renewables. 4 years ago, as mentioned yesterday by the Deputy Minister, we had about approximately 5.7 gigawatts in RES installed in our country. Today we have 11, and 16 are on the way. They're building now, and more than 30-something have approvals, and they're waiting to enter the game in this very interesting electricity producing arena. So the world is changing. We heard from the minister the importance of the grid and the interconnections, the problems of the market, electricity market, not only in our country, but in Europe. So there are a lot of developments where the core is RES, renewable energy sources, the investments in these sources, the support of these sources, and the change in the mix by the introduction of batteries and other types of components. So let me start with Mr. Yiarentis, the President and CEO of the RES and Guarantees of Origins Operator of Greece, who is the key person in conveying to us what is really happening in the area of renewables, how this market evolves, because as the national representative of many of the producers, they know exactly what is going on in the market. So, Mr. Yiarentis, the floor is yours.
Thank you for the invitation and for this interesting forum. Indeed, renewables are in the center of the energy market, and not only. And I believe that this is the future for energy, not only in Greece, everywhere. So let's focus on what's going on in our country. The figures are known. We are now to 11 gigawatts installed power, installed capacity, and we are looking for the 2030 for 16 or more. Nobody knows. Depends on the grids, on the availability of the grids. I know that the two operators, ADME and the DA, are working very hard to extend the grid, and we all are waiting for this new situation, which is going to happen, should happen. Now, we have in our country let me say, as a total 45 terawatt hours of energy consumption. And from these 45 terawatt hours, we have almost 25 as rest production. So we are in a very good shape, and we believe that this will be continued in the near future. The point which is very interesting is what's going on with the RES account. And I could say that this is what the market wants to know, and what they should wait in terms of financial of this RES account. We are now 4 months before year's end, and the projection we have, the studies which we do in DAPEEP, is that we will have a small deficit of just 20 millions. We consider that the two sub-accounts which were created about 1.5 years ago, it was, as the minister said, a malfunction of what was decided for us, because this is also the reality. We are looking at one cash flow. We are looking at one account. So new projects and old projects of RES for us is the same. So we insist of having connected again the two sub-accounts into one account, because for us it's actually the same bank account. We are paying the same time old and new projects, so there is no reason to create two sub-accounts, because it's just a trick. And we have to avoid tricks in the market, because the market would like to see the situation as it is, very clearly and very stable. So having the two sub-accounts together as one summary, we have a small deficit of just 20 millions, which will be very well corrected by a small increase of the income of the emissions from the account of emissions we receive every year. So this is what we would like to say about the interesting thing of the financial situation. In terms of the DAPEEP, I would like to point out that we have created very solid and clear strategy plan for the next 4 years. The company is in a very good way in terms of changing everything, focus on operational excellence, focus on good financial health, and looking all the time to deliver the best services to our stakeholders. This has to do with the RES account. I would like to point out something about the Energy Transition Fund, what the people know as TEM, which is a new account, a new fund created 2 years ago. And DAPEEP is the operator of this fund. And looking what we gave 2 years ago, since today we are close to 9 billions, which were given to the society through the accounts of the suppliers. And this is the money we receive, we collect from the surplus of the rest, from just a small account from the public, from the state fund. And we are very close to continue this policy for the next year. And of course, we insist that the Energy Transition Fund should not be only to this part of the business, but also to continue and extend in other, I could say, activities for helping the way to the energy transition as an idea.
Well, Mr. Yiarentis, thank you very much for this introductory statement. You covered a lot of things related to the company, related to the accounts that it handles, related to some forms of vision about the future. But I will come back later with a question concerning prices. That will be very interesting to hear from your side as well. And now let's move on to Mr. Kapellos, the Chief Operating Officer of HELLENiQ Renewables and BOD member. Mr. Kapellos, you are part of a company that is going through a through an interesting transition, moving from typical fossil fuels into renewables and getting a new name, a new direction, a new strategy. And how do you see it positioning in terms of the RES market? And also, what is the vision within the company concerning the expansion of renewable energy sources and also the integration of storage and into the energy mix, and how would this affect the future of your company, of the country?
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you for the organizers for the invitation. Ladies and gentlemen, well, HELLENiQ Renewables has a vision 2025. And we have started to change from an energy company, from an oil company to an energy company. There are 3 pillars. One is expansion and being strong in the renewables market. The second thing is energy efficiency, and the third thing which will come as technology is improving, to go for green fuels. So right now, the most important decision and most of the investments go for renewables. We have a target of 1 gigawatt in installed and operational projects in the end of 2025. And currently, we have 355 megawatt of renewables in operation, and we have already secured the rest of the megawatt for the target of 2025, the 1 gigawatt. And the second stage of our development is to go for 2 gigawatt in 2030 of 2 gigawatt of renewables. We have recently announced a new acquisition of projects, 200 megawatt in Greece, PV, and also 211 megawatt in Romania, and a few megawatt in Cyprus. So we are developing, also going outside Greece, in Romania and Cyprus and maybe other Balkan countries in order to meet the target that we have set. And also we have some projects of our own, and all of these are going to be in operation in 2025. Also, we have participated in the auction of the standalone batteries, and we have succeeded to win 100 megawatt. So this is where we head with respect to our strategy. And now let's go and see how we see the market and what are the prospects and also some challenges of the market. As it has already been mentioned, we have 11 gigawatt of photovoltaic renewables in operation right now, and more than 50% of the demand is being covered already by renewables. The target for 2030, as it has been set by the government, is 80% of the electricity production to be made as a source from renewables. Well, technically, this is a feasible target. On the other hand, there are some challenges. Let's mention why. For the first time, in this year, we had curtailments of renewables production. We had curtailments in March and in April, and we expect to have also curtailments in this autumn. Usually, at that period of the time, the production of renewables is high, and the demand becomes low because we don't have. In summer, we have the air conditioning. We have a great consumption because of the heating of the cooling of the buildings, but we don't have this consumption. And also tourism, which increases the consumption, but not in the intermediate periods like in spring and in autumn. So this is a challenge that was not foreseen in the past. Or we could not foresee in the past. Initially, renewables were projects that we constructed them and plugged them into the grid, and they produced electricity, and they have been paid by either feed-in tariffs or feed-in premiums. But additionally, now we have one challenge, which is the market challenge. Now the projects have to go. There will be some auctions. But the market is heading towards PPAs and corporate PPAs and merchant markets. So this is a market risk. On the other hand, we have the risk of the curtailments, which was not foreseen. And we're not talking about this 5%, which has been incorporated in the legislation, that you have all projects that are going to be connected from 1 year and on ago and on, they will have a 5% a priori curtailment. But we're talking on top of this 5% curtailment, which is unforeseen. I mean, you cannot predict it because we don't know when the demand will be lower than the production. So this is another risk, and how this risk can be mitigated. It can be mitigated by storage. And in storage, I think there are more things to be done in terms of the regulatory framework. There was these auctions about standalone batteries, but there are not only standalone batteries, they are also in front of the meter, but we should incorporate batteries behind the meter along with the production of the renewables, because this is the way to render the production which is unpredicted in order to be, which is intermittent, to become predictable production. And this is for the good of the investor and also for the system and the environment. So this is one thing that it has to be we have to be more focused, and regulatory, this has to be more clarified how this market, the storage market, is going to be, is going to work in terms of especially the balancing. And the other issue is that we have to to have a policy about compensating the curtailments that we will see more in the future as we expect more renewables to become to be connected to the system. This year we expect another 2 gigawatt of PV and maybe 500 megawatt of wind.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Kapellos. There are a lot of things going on with the company, very interesting developments, and you gave also an interesting snapshot of issues that create risks, but they are about to be mitigated through things that are happening right now. Now let's move on to Mr. Georgiou, who is the managing partner of Protasis, a company that specializes in areas of grid development in Greece, beyond, and integration of RES and etc. But I want to start with a question that emanates from what the minister said. He mentioned clearly that one of the bottlenecks is the grid, both at the level of the country and also at the level of interconnections. So I want to ask you the question of how do you see the evolution of power grids in Greece and also in our neighboring areas and countries, and basically try to give us a clue if we're going at the right pace or if there's something that we should do more and above.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for the invitation, first of all, and I would like to wish success to your Congress. Thank you, Mr. Ioannou, for the introduction. Indeed, Protasis is a power systems engineering and consulting company. We are acting as a consulting company and as a system integrator specializing on electrical power systems, not only in Greece, but in more than 20 countries globally. We cover the complete range of power generation, transmission, distribution, industrial as well. We try to be diversified, but the last years we are facing a very big challenge to stay and remain diversified because we have a boom in the renewable energy sector. So the last 5 years we are working very closely with the RES sector stakeholders, the TSOs, the DNOs, the developers, the EPCs, and other significant stakeholders in this market. Now coming back to your question concerning the integrity of the HELLENiQ, of the Greek grid in terms of incorporating the plant renewable energy capacity, I have to state from the beginning that, first of all, the 10 years development plan of Greece is one of the most ambitious plans among the HOE countries. We have the last years very significant progress in reinforcing existing infrastructure in Greece. I'm talking about substations at all voltage levels. And of course, the Greek operator and the Greek ministry and Greece as a country is placing a lot of effort and attention in the international interconnections. As you know, in Greece, there is a very aggressive plan of interconnecting, first of all, the continental system with the Greek islands. I'm talking about the HVDC link with Crete. I'm talking about the link with the Kos Island, which is coming. And there is also a very significant interconnection plan between Greece and all the neighboring countries. So in the 10 years plan, we can see there that the Greek TSO is going to increase the capacity with all the neighboring countries. And not only with the neighboring countries, but we have some very interesting interconnection projects, and you have seen that we have the interconnection project with Cyprus and Israel, the known Eurasia project. There is an ambitious project to interconnect Greece with Egypt. There is another very ambitious project to interconnect Greece with Germany. And only yesterday, I think, we had an announcement for a common effort between the Greek TSO and the national grid of Saudi Arabia to start some common discussions and surveys and studies in order to examine the interconnection between Greece and Saudi. So we live in a very dynamic environment, and I believe that the Greek system, the Greek transmission system, the Greek distribution network has all the means, and there is also a very big determination to do whatever it has to be done in order to accommodate what the national plan for energy and for the environment has investigated for 2030. From our side, we try to do as a company what we have to do. We are assisting and we are providing all the necessary support to the stakeholders, including the necessary studies, the necessary systems. We are very glad that we are participating in some of the most important projects in Greece and abroad, but especially in Greece. And we look forward to go along with the stakeholders in this nice journey. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Georgiou. So now we'll go in the second round in the reverse direction. So yes, you had some water because that's good, because I'm going to come back to you again. And I want, since we're talking about renewables, and since renewables include variability, and since we're moving to renewable energy sources that have higher variability, higher variance, and all these ups and downs, we've heard curtailing issues, etc., but that's not a big problem. I want to ask you how these high variable RES affect the stability, the security of the electricity network in general, and as long as we go towards the direction of a large number of RES included within the shares, the mix of electricity production, how does this affect this whole issue? And how do batteries and storage units affect and mitigate somehow this variability of RES?
That's right. I think that this is one of the areas that operators should stress emphasis. As you said before, as we move from the conventional generation to the renewable energy generation, many things are changing. In our world, one of the things which is changing is that as we move from conventional generation types to renewable energy sources, we have a deficit of the so-called rotating inertia. This has an impact in, first of all, in the frequency stability. Other drawbacks or other areas of concern, let's say, is that as we increase the RES integration in the grid, as we inject more current coming from the power coming from RES, we may have congestion management problems in specific areas, and this is something that should be addressed by the operators and the IPPs. And also talking about the grid, because this is my area of concern, you have also a new type, let's say, of stability problems which derive from the interaction of existing controllers, generator controllers, with new technologies, which is the HVDC and the power electronics. What is the way to cope with it? The way to cope with it is the installation and the examination of new technologies. And in Europe and in the developed countries, we have several new technologies which are developed and are implemented. I have to mention a few terms like the synthetic inertia technology or the synchronous condensers, which are applied in several countries, especially in Europe, US, Australia. And of course, from our point as a consulting company and as a system integrator, we give a very big emphasis on very detailed analysis and study. Studies like grid impact studies, compliance with the grid code, special measurements to verify and ascertain the compliance with the grid code, with the RFG, and of course, design of new systems, both at the substation level and the PV level, with powerful and very fast reacting controllers to control the operation and the integrity of the system.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Georgiou. And going back to Mr. Kapellos now, you mentioned things about compensating curtailing, you mentioned the PPAs, you mentioned several other aspects that relate somehow with what is going on in the rest of within the grid and the electricity production. I want to ask you about the role of storage and batteries in this whole picture, and if HELLENiQ Renewables is thinking about entering this field and doing projects in that particular area, because I believe, I always say it because I'm a professor of operations management, once we introduce batteries, we change the game. We're talking about inventory, and it's going to be another world. So,
yes, you asked Mr. Georgiou about how we can solve the variability issue of renewables. So the solution is storage. So we have production and we have demand. We have production and demand should be on par. I mean, they should be at all times on the same level. So, but this cannot be done if you have a source of production which is not controlled 100%. I mean, you cannot control when the sun is shining and when the wind is blowing. So the solution is batteries, or not only batteries, also hydro storage. Hydro storage is a higher power solution, and batteries is a short-term, very flexible way of regulating the system, infusing energy, high power energy at very short period of time, ramping ups which are very quick, and but batteries cannot be sources that they are like gas power plants that they can have a standard production. So we need gas power plants for a period of time till we need them right now, because when the renewables do not produce, we need something to substitute the production. Now, in terms of our plan, well, batteries will play a very significant role in the system, and the game is changing. As I have mentioned before, in the past we plugged the photovoltaics or wind to the system. They produce energy, and the sold energy produce money. This is not the case right now. I mean, we are in a market which is a competitive market, and you have to differentiate the energy which is produced. I mean, energy is a commodity, but if you sell it at different times within the day, you differentiate the product. So you need to have energy management. So you have to store energy and sell it when the prices are higher in the afternoon, and store the energy when the prices are lower, which is during the noon. So this is how the market is changing, and it becomes more sophisticated because you need teams and you need systems to do this thing. You have to control your plants at the same time. So it's not only bidding at the time that you expect that it will be more beneficial for you, but also to control at the same time the plants which are not here, maybe they are maybe 500 kilometers away. So the game is changing. It becomes very complex and very sophisticated. So this is the future, and that we will live in the next years.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kapellos. And finally, back to my friend, Mr. Yiarentis. I had in mind to ask you about the special res account as a last question, but you said everything at the beginning. So I will ask you something that is, for me, a very, very interesting observation. And DAPEEP is playing a big role in that. When res represents a large proportion of production in the electricity mix, prices go down. When it's small, prices go up. This is a fact, and I want your comment on this, and also the plans of your company in handling all these base of producers that represent a large percentage of res producers in Greece with so scarce resources. I know that your resources are not the ones required to run all this type of operation.
Thank you for this question. I would like to say much more on this. However, the counter is in red color. I will come back to your question. However, I would like to point out something which was mentioned a few minutes ago about PPAs. And I would like to clarify something. Actually, we have PPAs, and actually we have two kinds of PPAs. We have carbon PPAs, maybe it's a new term, and we have res PPAs. And we have to clarify the meaning of this differentiation. Carbon PPA is conventional PPA, which a supplier, a producer, a power producer having an amount of power produced is selling to a supplier, like Nome, I could say. We have also the res PPAs. Res PPAs is a contract which is between a res producer and a supplier. Two different things. There is a confusion on this. And we have to clarify something which is according to the legislation and which is according to the reality. The res PPAs should pass through the DAPEEP. Is it clear to the market? Maybe not. However, I would like to emphasize res PPAs should pass through the DAPEEP. Otherwise, we'll have no GOs. Otherwise, will be no green PPA, no res PPA. Because actually, who is giving the guarantee, who is giving the stamp that a megawatt hour or whatever is a green one? The DAPEEP. And this is the role of the DAPEEP. So let me emphasize that we are talking about res PPAs, and all these should pass through the DAPEEP. This is the point I would like to clarify. Now, concerning the prices, if we are looking at the prices throughout the hours per day, we could see that the time in which we have the biggest amount of power into the market, into the consumption, the rest production, the price of the market goes down. And this is very clear how the rest power affects to the price. So, because we all suffer about the high prices of the market. If we would like to reduce the price of the energy, we have to increase the rest percent in terms of energy in the country. And this is the one point. The second point is that we have to create a stable production, so we need batteries. So we need storage. And this is which something should be connected with the rest production. So rest production, wind, PV, all other technologies together with storage. Otherwise, we'll have all this up and down in the market, and we have this not good stability in the market price. And you ask me something more. It's okay. Something more.
About resources, but
About the resources.
just one sentence.
About the resources. Our company is having all this huge role to play. Maybe only few of you knows that we are just 23 people. 23 people. Handling, last year, 12.5 billion euros. And you have to consider what is the job, what is the work we are doing. Not only me, actually, the employees we have in this small company. Small company, maybe you used to remember Desmier or Laguerre. Now DAPEEP is a small company, and we need people in order to extend and make our job better and better. And having the last, which about 1 month ago, what happened with the resources in RAE, it was a very good job. We are going to do the same thing in order to get the basics right.
Okay, thank you very much, Yiannis. I would like to thank all three participants for the very acute presentations, comments, talks, and I want to say that we were very unfortunate not to have Mr. Fourlaris that would have provided us the view of the regulator, and Mr. Zervos that would have given us the view of a European organization. But I think we conveyed a lot of messages, and we talked about several issues, and there may be some answers to questions that tantalize our policymakers. So I thank the organizers, and I thank you all very much for participating, for being here at this session. Thank you.